It is my great pleasure to share with you a message to inspire us during the next 2 days from Thierry Breton, member of the European Commission for the Internal Market.
Good morning from Brussels to Bilbao. It's a pleasure to speak to you at the SME Assembly in support of Europe's entrepreneurs. This assembly takes place in challenging times for small businesses. The pandemic, the energy crunch, geopolitical instability, and inflation have left them more vulnerable than ever before. At the same time, I also sense a strong momentum across Europe to reinforce our commitment and our support to small businesses. The Commission has been doing its part, first by helping SMEs overcome recent crises. The Recovery and Resilience Facility provides SMEs with up to 45 billion euros of unprecedented support. In total, more than 200 billion euros is dedicated to SMEs until 2027 across the different European funding programs. And second, by boosting the long-term competitiveness and success of SMEs. 2 months ago, I presented the SME Relief Package, a milestone in our long-standing SME policy. My objectives are threefold. First, to make things easier for SME. Second, to improve their liquidity and access to finance. And third, to enable access to talent. We are already making progress. One of the key elements of the package, the Commission proposal for combating late payment, has already been discussed in Council last month, and I am pleased to see that the Parliament's rapporteur for this proposal will take part in the conference later today. This goes to show how eager the EU is to break the patterns that are detrimental or unfair to SMEs. The same goes for administrative burden. We must let SMEs do what they do best, business, not form filing. This is why the relief package contains a proposal to simplify taxation rules for SMEs active in multiple member states. We are helping companies adopt digital technologies and benefit from the data economy. We are expanding the single digital gateway, avoiding the need for SMEs to resubmit administrative documents in different countries. And we are reinforcing our vigilance on SME impact of new legislation. Let me also stress the importance of access to talent. Skilled workforce is a prerequisite for the success of a business. This week, the Commission will take the next step in tackling EU skills gap by presenting an initiative to improve the recognition of qualifications of third country nationals. Ladies and gentlemen, SMEs are where our industrial heart beats, where our competitiveness starts, and where our innovative and entrepreneurial spirit comes to light. During this SME Assembly and European SME Week, I encourage you all to reflect collectively on how to best put the principles of our SME Relief Package into practice. And more broadly, how we, European institutions, member states, industry associations, entrepreneurs, can all work together to support the success of our small businesses. Please rest assured that in my capacity as a European Commissioner for the Internal Market, I will always be on your side. This being said, I would like to wish you all a very fruitful SME Assembly 2023. Thank you very much.
Let's hear now from our hosts in the Spanish Presidency, Director of Industry and SMEs, and from the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Tourism, María Munoz Martínez. Please, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Buenos días. I will speak Spanish. I suppose there's translation. Gracias,
Well, thank you. I'd like to greet Councillor, the authorities of the Basque region, the representatives of the European Commission, and from many member states. First of all, I'd like to apologize on behalf of our Minister of Industry, who would have loved to be here with us, but unfortunately cannot. It's an honor for me to be part of the inauguration ceremony of the 2023 SME Assembly event. This is also the 30th anniversary of the single market that falls this year. And that's, of course, the cornerstone of our European edifice and one of our main achievements. The internal market over these years has made it possible to integrate our economies, all of our economies, member states here in the room. And it's been an engine for growth and competitiveness for the EU. It was, I think, also a key for our survival during the pandemic and then in the following energy crisis, which arose from the terrible war waged against Ukraine. As these crises emerged, we saw how we were dependent on certain other sources when it comes to food, when it comes to essential critical raw materials, energy and other key areas which are essential for digitalization, for clean technology, or the things we need to lower our economic and industrial carbon footprints. Furthermore, the IRA-US initiative has called for the EU to respond. And we are indeed working on that as part of our remit during our presidency. First of all, there's the Net Zero Industry Law and the Critical Raw Materials Act, which are on our agenda. And I believe that these will really be a tipping point towards an active industrial policy for the EU. This is good news. As we've seen, indeed, from the video about the Basque Country in particular, industry means quality jobs, stable jobs, it means growth. It has a leverage effect on SMEs as well. And of course, we're here to talk about SMEs. So it's not just about the industrial sector, it's about the whole value chain or chains. When we talk about industrial policy, we, for instance, think about Repower EU. There's that platform, which we heard about being launched from the Commission a few months ago. But it also includes things like the Recovery and Resilience Plan funds. Over the next few years, these will be a great opportunity for member states, for industry in general, and for SMEs in particular, for them to develop technologies that have to do with new technologies, with renewables, with hydrogen, inter alia, and in general, all the things that will help us decarbonize our European economy. And this is in a context where, as you know, international competition is great. Businesses are making their investment decisions for the next 10, 20-year horizon, so we have no time to lose. During our presidency of the EU, our Prime Minister has set as one of our priorities open strategic autonomy, which is something which, of course, arose initially from a defense perspective, but is seen in this context as also being aimed at rebuilding our industrial base in Europe. As we saw from the past crisis I mentioned, we need to be able to ensure our industrial systems have continuity, that our industrial supply chains have continuity, and we have to do so without in any way sacrificing our European values, but we also have to have cohesion, sustainability and competitiveness on a par with that. When it comes specific to SMEs, and indeed as the Commissioner referred to, there's the SME relief package, for which we thank the Commission, and this will of course be something we'll be discussing later on during this assembly. There's simplification on the agenda, there's capacity buildings, upskilling, and in Spain, using the recovery funds, we've worked on a number of initiatives to that end. These are very much in line with the SME relief package content. There's a new startup law we've developed. We think it's a trailblazing one in the EU. It brings in taxation, fiscal facilitation, gets rid of some of the red tape and other bottlenecks for startups, and tries to encourage and attract talent and initiative. We've also tried to work on improving access to funding and financing. This meant the reciprocal guarantee system in Spain has been revamped. We have a representative from the refinancing body in Spain. These changes have made a huge impact for SMEs. We've worked on new capacities, new skills, talent, because that's what we need as we try to decarbonize our economies. And also when it comes to payment times, we've tried to improve the payment timing, because that's something that really hurts SMEs when it's not done properly. And I know there are some of you in the room who have personal interest in this. The Observer, we're working for late payments and for electronic payments and e-invoicing. We've all tried to push elements that will make payment times more streamlined and better. So we have worked and are working on a lot of things. We have a lot of work on the table, and these next few days in this wonderful setting and this beautiful city outside will be a great opportunity for us to work on that and build a better partnership, a better public-private partnership, which is such a fruitful carrier as we try to go forward. Thank you all, and I wish you a fruitful couple of days.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for your words. And also, we really appreciate the hard work done by the presidency team to create this conference. We will also hear now from our hosts here in the Basque Country with a word of welcome from Arantxa Tapia, Minister for Economic Development, Sustainability and the Environment in the government of the Basque Country. Welcome, Arantxa, please. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, authorities here in Bilbao. Welcome to Euskadi, to the Basque Country Innovation Land. We welcome you on behalf of the Basque government with open arms. From this country, with a deep pro-European feeling, we are proud to turn Euskadi into the European capital of industry, of SMEs these days. A sector that we carry out in our DNA for years and years. A manufacturing activity that we exhibit at home, here in the Basque Country, but also in international markets. An industry that has evolved century by century, and especially in the latest 20th century, particularly in the last 2 decades. The Basque Industry 4.0 strategy has accelerated our way of doing things. So Basque industry is no longer measured only by its manufacturing indicator. Thanks to advanced services, Basque companies, in addition to processes, offer services and solutions. As you probably know, every 4 years, and coinciding with each legislative term here in the Basque Country, we design and implement an industry and business internationalization plan. The current one, which is going to finish on 2024, was planned in the middle of the pandemic. So the context of COVID, like Russia's invasion of Ukraine, has a direct impact on our industry supply chains. The same as in Europe, but especially here in the Basque Country. And it has been a great lesson that has led us to undertake diversification processes that have been very well accepted by local companies. Our ability to adapt is also due to our strong commitment to R&D. In our country, as a small region, in size as we are, it is impossible to be competitive if there is no innovation. And the investment of private sector and public sector here in the Basque Country is about 2.32% of our GDP. So it makes the Basque Country a highly innovative region in the European Innovation Scoreboard of 2023, and it is a benchmark in Spain, and we have been qualified by the European Union as a pocket of excellence in innovation. Also, we are an open economy. Our exports represent more than 38% of our GDP. And it is interesting to say that about 50% of our exports involve high and medium-high technological level due to R&D and our European and international commitment. If we look at the energy and climate transition in which we are immersed, one of the challenges is to intensify the decarbonization of our industry, of all the economy, but especially the industry. The European Green Deal has been a reference for us, and we have been looking very closely to it, and we have designed our own Basque Green Deal on our framework, on our special framework. In a country with an industry and advanced services where we account for more than 40% of the GDP, we are very clear that we have to approach the energy and digital transition with a fair vision to leave no one behind. This means that having the transition well planned and the impact of each step we take, we have to measure very well from a regulatory and legal point of view, of course, and planning that takes into account the need to keep commitments, but at the same time to keep companies alive and to maintain jobs. But it is not only a question of survival of our economy, but of approaching the energy transition as an opportunity for industry to accelerate the digital developments necessary to gain competitiveness. So we are fully committed to net zero 2050, but with a planning that leaves no one behind. This is especially important for our economy. This topic and that of the people and talent management are likely to be recurrent in these days, in these working days. I will not go on way longer, and I hope that both the working sessions and your stay in our country will be fruitful, and that you will return with good memories of those days, and that we like you to have a good stay here and to see you back here in the Basque Country. So thank you very much for choosing Euskadi for these days, and as a meeting place, of course, and have a nice time here in Bilbao. Thank you again for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Arantxa. We'll have a wonderful time, I'm sure. Let's set the scene now, talking and thinking about the world business. I'm delighted to welcome Susanne Westhausen, President of Cooperatives Europe. Welcome. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Commissioner Breton, not here, unfortunately, Mrs. Tapia, Mrs. Munoz, dear participants, it is with great pleasure that I'm here today at the opening of the SME Assembly 2023, and I'd like to thank the Commission for this invitation. To me, it underscores the recognition of the cooperative and social economy's role in shaping a resilient and inclusive market. As President of Cooperatives Europe, I represent a European professional network that stretches beyond the EU borders, advocating for roughly 146,000 cooperative enterprises and 4.7 million jobs. Not to mention the 141 million individuals that are our owners. I congratulate you on having chosen this Time to gather for this conference where sustainable solutions to not only big but huge questions are needed. Problems and questions that call for solutions that are deeply rooted in society and local communities to be truly sustainable. And of course, one of the answers is cooperatives and the social economy. In that light, the venue of Bilbao is especially well chosen, and I'm sure not by chance. In San Sebastian, 1 hour east of here, the Ministry of Labour and Social Economy of Spain organizes the 2023 European Conference of Social Economy, called People, Planet, Action. And if you travel 1 hour north, you will reach Mondragon, a worker cooperative utopia for 80,000 people. And if you can find time in your schedule, you should go there and be blown away. In a world with economic, social and environmental upheavals, cooperatives have demonstrated remarkable resilience and strength. Therefore, I'm particularly happy to see a rising interest and recognition for the cooperative and social economy. As cooperatives, we are a diverse tapestry of businesses spanning across almost all sectors, from renewable energy and industrial production to tourism, banks, insurance and agriculture. I usually ask an audience, how many in the room are cooperators? But today, I'll just leave the question hanging, inviting you all to run through your private and professional lives and discover how cooperative you are and all people of Europe when we consume and when we work. Drinking wine and eating cheese from cooperatives doesn't really count, but being member of a supermarket does. But the cooperative wine and cheese is super nice anyway. For the last 5 to 10 years, we have experienced a growing interest for our way of doing business from the young, who are looking to our model for answers to their big questions. Answers to how their work-life balance can be better, how food sustainability can be secured, how to make sure that energy will become renewable and green, how energy supply can be even secured, and how they can make sure that their families have access to affordable housing, bank, insurance, education, and so much more. And they find their answers in co-ownership of cooperatives. Cooperatives can be a vehicle for more equality, safety, and prosperity, and through our built-in concern for community, cooperatives are natural players in the dual transition because we are people-centered businesses. Looking at entrepreneurship, it is more than a fun fact that female entrepreneurs, and especially women who start their businesses as co-ops, have a much higher rate of still being in business after 5 years. And it's also a proven fact that cooperative startups are significantly more resilient than for-profit startups. Our uniqueness is not just in our legal, economic, and cultural identities. It's also in our values of democratic governance, solidarity, and commitment to sustainable development and local communities. These principles are not only at our core, they are recognized and protected under the European Treaty. And also the UN and ILO recognizes and promote the cooperative business model and call for support for the entrepreneurial ecosystem for cooperatives to help accelerate the 2030 agenda, focusing on research, data, policy dialogue, technical support, and capacity building. Yet, despite this acknowledgement, cooperatives and the social economy face a significant awareness deficit among public authorities and educational institutions. To illustrate, let's consider the issue of finance, a well-known barrier for many SMEs. But due to their nature, cooperatives has no or very limited access to venture capital or credit on the capital market. Various European initiatives have recently been taken in that regard. The European Commission's Action Plan for Social Economy from 2021 and the Council of the European Union's recent recommendations serve as a crucial step towards integrating social economy actors into mainstream economy frameworks. and we thank you for that. But if cooperatives and social economy have their specificities and deserve to be recognized as a key economic tool, they are nonetheless the same competitive and challenging market as all other business models. They are real businesses, not NGOs, not charities. We are businesses with a purpose of others than just profit. Therefore, the overall goal for Cooperatives Europe is to secure that cooperatives have a level playing field with private for-profit companies. It is often said that SMEs are the backbone of the European economy. They count in Europe for 99% of all enterprises, 2/3 of employment, and close to 53% of the added value created in the European Union. However, issues like inflation or the continued impact of the energy crisis persist and challenge our operational capacities. As we navigate through these turbulent times, it's paramount that we remove unnecessary hurdles and regulation that is burdenous. A clearer recognition of the different specificities of the different types of businesses could pave the way for new, sustainable collaborations between SMEs. An example being family business and cooperatives. Family-owned businesses make up a large part of Europe's private sector businesses and represent 40 to 50% of all jobs. Just like cooperatives, they operate in almost every sector of the European economy. But far too many of these companies are lost annually due to a lack of preparation by business owners for their generational succession. In many countries, we see a growing interest in the use of transformation to an employee-owned business as a strong tool to sustain the jobs, the knowledge, and the expertise in the businesses. However, this is not as easily done as it is said. In many countries, the tax regimes are against, and again, the lack of knowledge of this possibility with business advisors is the biggest real challenge, often resulting in the owners drowning in red tape and the business being closed after all. While I speak, a lot of SMEs are in full swing to prepare for the green and digital transition. But to bring all aboard, we need a clear and easy-to-travel path to be laid out for them as soon as possible. In this context, the SME relief package referenced by Commissioner Breton is much welcome. It is vital to equip all these SMEs with the necessary tools, resources, and supportive legislative backdrop to develop their activities. The implementation of such measures must be balanced to avoid an increase of the administrative load. For example, the amendment of the Late Payment Directive should bolster the investment capabilities of SMEs without imposing additional reporting obligations. The European Union's SME policy will gain in efficiency and performance if it gives all its players a chance, and if, from the outset, take into account the specific needs of SMEs and cooperatives. This is the key message we would like to convey to Mr. Letta, who has been asked by the Belgian presidency to produce a report on the future of the single market. In conclusion, cooperatives and social enterprises seek not just to be acknowledged, but to be actively integrated into the SME policies. We call for and will welcome a political vision that embraces the cooperative ethos, one that nurtures economic diversity and paves the way for an economy that is as democratic and sustainable as it is competitive. It is through this lens that we can collectively contribute to a robust and vibrant European economy. We look forward to the discussions over the next 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Visiting Mondragon is always a good idea. And finally, here is a message from the European Parliament of Enterprises, where over 700 businesses, women and men, will become MEPs for one day to debate and also to vote on some of the most crucial issues at the center of today's political debate.
friends, dear colleagues, dear delegates of the 2023 SME Assembly. I'm talking to you from the European Parliament in Brussels, where we will be organising the 6th edition of the European Parliament of Enterprises as you are beginning the SME Assembly. We will be gathering over 700 entrepreneurs from across Europe to discuss, debate and even vote on some of the key issues that they are encountering and that the European policymakers are debating and negotiating on at the moment. I'm joined by one of the 700 or so entrepreneurs, Beatriz Delfin Diaz. Thank you for being with us, Beatriz. Why are you here? Why have you taken time out of your busy agenda to take part in this event?
Well, today it's a very important day because SMEs and entrepreneurs will let their voice heard towards the European decision makers. And it's very important to let them know what our issues and our concerns on a day-to-day basis. It's very important to have this opportunity to tell that. And of course, topics like energy, skills, international trade are really concerning our business because we are in trainings and consultancy in tax, VAT and customs, so we need to know what can be harmonized. And for instance, another concern is the energy consumption. We have to be able to pay our bills at the end of the day, so the energy market should be really stable for us and on affordable prices. And when we talk about skills, for instance, we know that artificial intelligence come into the landscape, so it's very important to see how we have to adapt to that. So it will be a very enriching day today.
I hope so. And what do you expect to come out of it?
Well, we expect that business will be more facilitated, and I hope we will have better processes regarding the business competitiveness as well. And it's a good opportunity to exchange with other European entrepreneurs and SMEs to see what's going on their country and to maybe probably share best practices as well.
So we're expecting a really rich day of debate, discussion and voting. So sorry we can't be with you in Bilbao, but I hope you agree that we have a good excuse. We'll be here discussing skills, energy, trade among entrepreneurs, but also with some of the key EU policymakers involved in those dossiers, like the Commission Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis, European Parliament Vice Presidents Dita Charanzova and Katarina Bali, and the chairs of 3 of the most important committees for those topics in the European Parliament. Enjoy yourselves in Bilbao, have a fantastic SME Assembly, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Many thanks to all our speakers now, and now is your time to decide which session to attend. So let me review, because there are several sessions you can choose from. Here in the auditorium, the SME Sustainable Enterprise panel will be discussing the subject of SMEs in Europe. How can the next European Commission and Parliament help SMEs make the sustainable transition? Followed after the networking coffee by a policy workshop discussing upskilling SMEs for a data-driven future. In room 1A, there will be 2 sessions, a policy workshop entitled 15% and Counting, SMEs Closing the Recycling Loop, followed by a masterclass, IPA, Investing in Entrepreneurial Skills. And in the Torre room, there will be a policy workshop concerning setting the standards for the single market, how to include SMEs, followed by a policy workshop called Citizens at the Center of the Railway Innovation. After the networking coffee, you will also be able to hear about putting new rules to the test in the Luxor 1 room, as well as a masterclass titled From Potential to Growth, Helping SMEs Scale Up in the masterclass space. And remember, look up for hostesses who will be able to guide you to your chosen session. Please remember also, as I said before, that all the sessions will be live streamed, and if there is a session you can't attend, you would like to watch again, there will be at the app. Up next in the auditorium is the SME Sustainable Enterprise session, For those of you planning on joining this session, please, I'm going to ask you to be back at 10. Get your headsets to the hostesses, and I'll see you then. Bye.